Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stephen Seaman. I'm the ground supervisor at the Maynooth campus. Today, as part of Natural Heritage Week, in association with Maynooth University Library, I'll be doing a short presentation about protecting and enhancing the natural heritage on the Maynooth campus. It's great to still be able to connect with everybody virtually and show some of the great things that are happening on the campus. And I really look forward to seeing you in person on campus once everything gets back to normal, hopefully later in the year. Just keep an eye on our social media channels going forward for different events that might be happening coming out over the coming months and over next year. So I'll just crack on. So just a little bit of background about the campus. The campus is home to both Maynooth University and St. Patrick's College, Maynooth. There's roughly about 12,000 students on campus and about 1,000 staff members. It's a lot quieter today with everyone off campus, and we look forward to having things back to normal ASAP. There's about 181 acres. We have about 6 full-time ground staff members that manage the campus. We have a mix of both woodlands, playing pitches, student accommodation, highly manicured areas, wildflower meadows, tree avenues, waterways, historic buildings, to name a few. So we have a really kind of diverse mix of campus setting. We have both the old side, which is St. Patrick's College, which is celebrating 225 years old, which has a totally different landscape to the Maynooth University side of the campus, which is in its early 20s. So we have quite a stark difference between North and South campus. So what is natural heritage? Natural heritage comprises of all aspects of biodiversity, from flora to fauna, ecosystems to geographical features, everything from the tiny microorganisms in the soil to bees to birds to mammals to waterways to mountains. We have a very diverse ecosystem on the campus, which is an intertwined group of living organisms which is specific to the environment they live in together. So everything from the smallest microorganism to our birds of prey, they all play a vital role in creating a vibrant ecosystem. So today I'm going to be chatting to you about the natural heritage that we have on campus and how we're trying to protect it and ensure that it's going to be there for generations to come. So what are we trying to do on campus? Before I start to show you what natural heritage we have on campus, I'm going to show you how we manage the campus. So over the next few slides, I'll be showing you how we are planning the campus differently and how we manage it to ensure that we're enhancing the natural flora and fauna on the campus. So we're trying to transform the campus into a more biodiversity friendly environment. So we're doing 3 simple things to make the campus more friendly towards wildlife and nature. 1 is reduce, 2 is create, and 3 is protect. So reduce. So we're actively reducing our mowing regime on campus, allowing large areas of grass to grow as meadows, which reduces our emissions, it reduces our cutting costs, and provides valuable feeding grounds for birds and insects. We're also reducing our pesticide use on campus by changing the way we use chemicals, reducing it and using alternative where appropriate, and trying to take a step back and just kind of rewild areas where appropriate. And then in terms of reducing our activities that we did in the past, we're also trying to create areas. So we're creating habitats, we're installing bird boxes, creating meadows, picking native Irish trees and shrubs, changing flower schemes for pollinators. So we're trying to create a more biodiversity friendly environment in which our natural flora and fauna can thrive in. So that's from day one. When we're doing any kind of rejuvenation of the landscape, we're thinking of, is this the most suitable plant? Is this the most suitable shrub that is going to have the best bang for its buck in terms of getting the most pollinators, the most mammals, the most microorganisms, and will be much more suitable to the Kildare landscape. And then also we're looking to protect. So we're protecting what we have on campus. So we look after areas just for wildlife. So we have 3 large areas on campus that we just allow nature to thrive without any human interaction. If a tree falls there, we just allow it to fall. We allow it to biodegrade naturally, let the natural process of a woodland take over. And this is ensuring that there is some aspects of the campus that is just allowing nature to do its thing without any help from us. And sometimes nature, the best person to look after nature is itself. But also we're protecting the birds, the bees, the mammals by creating areas on new parts of the campus and ensuring that they have somewhere to go when the campus is redeveloped. So we're also looking at education, and that's a big part of Protect, is educate. Is that if we can educate the staff, the students, visitors, schools coming in to visit the campus, and if we can educate the next generation about the importance of why we're creating these habitats, why we're reducing our weed killers, why we're reducing our mowing regimes, why we're protecting these birds, bees, mammals, flowers, etc. And if they can kind of click with them from a young age and bring that to where they go after their time on the university campus, then we're kind of sharing the message. And it's very important for us to kind of use the campus as almost a teaching grounds to show people best practices going forward. So these are two interesting slides that I've titled Out with the Old. The picture on the left is a picture of how we used to tackle our weeds on campus. And this was a common sight through the summer months of us blanket spraying large areas with glyphosate weed killer. And I was dressed as if we were going to land on Mars with a full respirator, full hazmat suit, etc., etc. And it wasn't a very nice sight to see when you're kind of coming to enjoy the campus. And it solved the problem, and it did keep a lot of the work down. But today we've kind of took a step back, and we've realised that this is a thing of the past, and we've decided to bring in a new system which significantly reduced the volume of weed killer that we use on the campus. So with that old system that you just saw on the previous slide, for every 500 litres of mixed weed killer that we used to spray with that system, on the same area with a new system, we're only using 10 litres. So that's a significant reduction from 500 litres down to 10 litres. So we're just using the weed killer in a much more targeted, reduced manner, in a much more sympathetic way, and it has much better benefits, as not only for students, staff and visitors that you're not coming into contact with these hazardous chemicals, but also it's not interfering with our pollinators. It's not affecting our mammals or our birds that are on the campus, that it doesn't get airborne. There's not much airborne particles as it was in the old system. So these changes are having a massive impact on our natural heritage on campus, and it's increasing. And it's not only are we decreasing the amount of weed killer we're using and pesticides. The picture on the right shows a picture of the back of St. Mary's several years ago, where we used to cut it weekly to ensure that it was an absolute perfect field of green. And it did look beautiful, there's no denying that. But we've ripped up the rule book and we've brought in new practices, don't mow, let it grow, where we're allowing these large areas of traditionally cut grass to grow as meadows. And again, just by allowing it to grow, we're allowing the natural flora, the flowers that are in the seed base of Kildare, to come up and thrive. So this is our new way of thinking. So the last slide you saw where we're allowing these places to grow. So we've taken the decision to reduce our mowing regimes right across the campus. As of this summer, we've over 15 acres of wildflower meadows on the campus. We're allowing large tracts of grass to grow, and we're cutting winding paths through the meadows to allow easy access into the meadows for people to interact with them. Previously, we would have been using our diesel guzzling machines on a weekly basis to cut these areas. Now these areas will be cut once a year, and they'll be baled for food for animals. So we're reducing our mowing costs, we're reducing emissions, we're creating feed for animals, we're increasing biodiversity. So it's a win-win scenario. It's an absolute no-brainer, and it ticks a lot of boxes in our kind of green campus initiatives going forward in the future. So these few snaps show you the kind of floral diversity that has come up in areas that have had no seeds sown, and they're just what has been in the soil and just allowing nature to take its course. So this is one of my favorite slides that I'll show you today, and this is a kind of a common picture that you would have seen across the campus. You still do see it in places, but if you walked from one end of the campus to the other and you stood in an area of intensely mowed grassland and you took a picture just at your feet, this is what you would see. You would have seen a monoculture of grass, a green desert as we call it, and so this was something that was very, years ago, we would have been actively targeting the weeds in these grassed areas to make them as pristine as possible, using pesticides, fertilizers, etc., to make sure that there was no weeds in them. But now that the tide has turned and there's a new way of thinking, these weeds are now called wildflowers. And by simply just allowing nature to take over a little bit and allowing to take over, this is the results that we've had in some of our areas on campus. So Gail from our biodiversity committee ran wildflower walks on campus for the past 3 years, and during these walks, not only was she able to educate the people who came along with the walks, but she was able to capture a few of the flowering plants through the season, and she compiled all these pictures into this collage. So I think this picture says 1,000 words in terms of showing the floral diversity of what just came up. I think I was discussing with Gail there, and she said that there was only about 3 or 4 flowers in this picture that were actually sown from seed. The rest was in the seed base that we didn't plant, that it was just come up after we stopped mowing or took the pressure off maintaining. So traditionally, these weeds would have been, these wildflowers, should I say, they would have either been trimmed, sprayed, or mowed. And now we're just kind of taking the foot off the gas a little bit and just saying, look, these have a lot more value to add to the biodiversity on campus, and they actually create a much more diverse campus for our pollinators, birds, and animals to live in. So also that we're doing not only in the kind of the don't mow, let it grow areas, wildflower meadows, in the more formal areas on the campus, we're also trying to make small changes. And every decision that we make now going forward is considered for pollinators on campus. So traditionally, we would have had areas on campus that would have been highly manicured, formal annual bedding scheme that would have been changed twice a year. You can see this in the picture on the left-hand side here. They were beautiful to look at, but they were made up of geraniums, begonias, petunias, and these plants had taken generations to breed to look as best as possible for flowers, but they were essentially sterile in terms of food for pollinators. So in 2019, we stopped using bedding plants completely, as we felt that there was a much better way to go. So we switched to using herbaceous plants instead. We changed up to use delphiniums, lavenders, salvias, catmints, Verbena bonariensis, which still give the same visual impacts for our visitors to campus, but they are far better for our pollinators. And even from a cost point of view, where our formal annual bedding, we would have been changing twice a year and would have had a huge cost, not only financially, but for labor costs. These herbaceous planting schemes you get a much better life scheme out of it. Like we're looking that we're going to be changing a few of our kind of high profile formal beds maybe every 2 to 3 years. So it's a much more cost effective and far better for biodiversity on the campus by changing to herbaceous plantings. The pictures on the right hand side of the screen, you can see that the pots that were on campus were traditionally annual bedding plants, and we switched it up and we've put in pollinator friendly plants into these pots, and they still look great for our visitors, for our students, staff and visitors, but they have much more merit towards pollinators going forward. So we've stepped back, we've looked at how we do things, and we still think we can achieve a nice visual aesthetic whilst helping pollinators. So it's a win-win. So choosing the correct plants on the campus is a very important thing. So the right choices from day one. So the native iris approach is something that I'm very passionate about, and going forward, it's something that we're going to be emphasizing more and more. So the pictures here on the slide show that we have a hedge, a laurel hedge that would have been a common sight across the campus many years ago. It serves its purpose. It has, it will be a wind barrier. It will create disruptive view that you don't want to see, or break up an area of the grounds. But in terms of diversity for plants, for animals, for insects, their biodiversity sterile almost. So the picture on your right is the direction that we're going now, moving forward, is choosing native Irish flowering hedges, which have a large array of different plants that will have a long flowering period, all the way up to Christmas in some cases. And also, not only the choice of plants is very important in our flowering hedges, but also is that we allow our hedges to run through their natural course. So allow them to flower to provide food for our pollinators, but then allow them to fruit to allow food for our birds going into the winter months. So on campus, we're looking at tailoring how we cut our hedges to be a bit more sympathetic, in terms of every 2 years we'll do a severe cut of a native iris hedge and allow it to kind of grow out, get a bit hairy in places for 12 months a year, because this allows more fruit, more flowers, which in turn, if you have more food, you have more flowers, you're going to invite more insects, birds, bees onto the campus. So if you build it, they will come. So as a result of changing our management practices and creating more habitats that are suited to the native flora and fauna of Kildare, they will be the nature will be enticed back onto the campus, and we're seeing results of this every year. That every little change that we're making, we're seeing an increase of different birds, different solitary bees, different animals coming back onto the campus, which is great. And there is a housing crisis in the country at the moment for a lot of people. The same can be said for our bees, birds, and mammals. So on campus, we have taken the decision to give a bit of a help towards the housing crisis for our bees, our birds, our mammals on campus. So the pictures here on the screen now are just a kind of a mix and gathering of what we have done to create habitat for these animals coming onto the campus. The picture on the far left of your screen with the AstroTurf perch on it, that is a peregrine falcon box that is on the top of our spire on the South Campus. I'm claiming it's the highest bird box in the country until I'm corrected on that, but it's a absolute fantastic box to have in, one of the few boxes in the country for peregrine falcons, and we have 2 peregrine falcons loitering around the spire for many years now, and we're very very hopeful that they'll be able to come in and nest in that box in years to come. Then going through a few of the other boxes, we have a barn owl box, we have a bat box, we have a sparrow box, we have several solitary bee nesting sites, both for cavity dwelling solitary bees and for mining bees. The picture on the top right hand corner of your screen are hollowed out logs that we have created, that we're trying to entice a swarm of bees to come and take up residency in these logs. Not to create, we don't want to be creating our own honey. We just want to allow a natural swarm of honeybees to live out their cycle, to swarm when they want to swarm, to eat their honey that they've collected when they want to do it. So this was only brought in, they're only out this summer. So we're really watching with anticipation to see how these logs fare out in the next 12 to 18 months. But yeah, we're trying to be a bit creative and provide a little bit of helping hand towards the visitors that we're trying to entice back onto the campus. So why do we need to protect our natural heritage? I picked these two images of the brown bear and the wolf because these were actually on the island of Ireland many years ago, and would have been one of the apex predators that once played a vital role in the ecosystem of the Irish landscape. And I could have put a picture of a snail or a butterfly or an orchid that has long been extinct from the island, but I thought if you see a brown bear or a wolf walking up your driveway, you're going to remember it. So it's kind of like that kind of shock of saying, wow, these were here and now they're gone. By removing a species from the ecosystem, has absolute adverse effects on the rest of the species within that ecosystem. So everything from the smallest snail to the biggest predator plays a massive role within the circle of life. So by one being removed means that some other plant mightn't be pollinated, or some animal food source may have disappeared. So just because they mightn't fit into what you think is very important, a snail or brown bear or whatever, each one plays a very important role in creating a vibrant ecosystem. So what do we have to lose? I just picked these 6 images because they're kind of ones that you could actually go out and see if you really wanted to. So the curlew, the corncrake, the pine marten, the Atlantic salmon, red squirrel, European eel, these are all at risk of disappearing off the island, like the brown bear and the wolf. So it could be highly likely that my children or my grandchildren might be looking at these slides in 100 years' time and saying they used to be here, like the brown bear and the wolf. So we need to, by doing all these changes that we're doing on campus, and it's not only localized to the campus, it's localized to everywhere, every other organization in the country that is doing things for biodiversity, that we're ensuring that these 6 images, these 6 animals and fish, they're going to be here for the next generation. So the changes that we make now have long-term effects for sustaining these populations going forward into the future. It's very sad to think that people won't have the opportunity to see some of these animals going forward. So we're trying to do our best to ensure that not only are we protecting the habitat that they have, but try and enhance areas to entice them back and trying to cohabitate with these animals moving forward so we don't lose them. So the future of the campus. In the past, we have very little or no input into the development of new buildings on the campus. As a result, we have been gifted a few landscapes on the campus that have been completely out of place. They don't marry into the existing landscape or fit in with the vision of the campus landscape that it should look like going forward. Some of these landscapes wouldn't even be wouldn't fit into an Irish landscape at all. It'd be something you see in a Mediterranean setting. So thankfully, in more recent years, we've had much more input into the landscape plans of new builds on the campus. Landscape architects who are developing these new buildings that are coming on stream in campus in the next kind of 12 to 18 months want to work with us and ask us. They're treating us like the client and saying, well, what do you have on campus? What would you like to see? So we're able to look at the campus and say, we actually want to have our native Irish trees, we want to have wildflower meadows, and bringing these in from day one are much easier to do rather than trying to redevelop a landscape that has been given to you that doesn't fit into the campus fabric. So what is coming on stream? So these are a few pictures of what is coming on stream in the two buildings that you just saw previously, that we have spec'd wildflower meadows over grassed areas. We have spec'd native Irish trees. We are bringing in pollinator friendly planting schemes. We are looking at don't mow, let it grow areas for these new buildings. So we're just making decisions from day one to make the long-term choices that are going to have a massive benefit to the natural flora and fauna, thriving on campus in years to come. We find that it's much easier to work with nature than trying to battle against it. Mother Nature is definitely in the driving seat in this relationship, and this is why we've decided to change the way we manage the campus to suit her needs and allow nature to thrive in these areas. We find that before we were definitely trying to get on top of making sure that there wasn't a weed in every place, that every lawn was cut to within an inch of its life. And in recent years, by changing how we manage the campus and how we're planning the campus landscape going forward, we're just taking the foot off the gas a little bit and just allowing nature to kind of take over, but by kind of keeping it looking well, by mowing around the edges, strimming more rather than spraying. And I think it's fair to say that around the campus it's starting to pay off. So also what has come on stream, come as a result of the changes that we've made on campus, is that we've got a few awards to our name in terms of green flags, two to be exact. So in 2018, we were awarded the Green Campus flag from Antashka, which was awarded to the Maynooth Green Campus, which had elements of 6 main elements, which were climate justice, energy, travel, transport, waste management, water conservation, and biodiversity. So the actions that we took on the grounds department and within campus services to change our management plans in terms of enhancing biodiversity played greatly into us achieving the biodiversity aspect of the Green Campus flag. The Green Campus flag was very much a group effort with many different people from various departments putting in huge amounts of works to ensure that we ticked every single box in terms of achieving that award. And then more recently in 2019, we were awarded the Green Flag Award for Parks, which is an internationally recognized green flag for well-managed green spaces and parks around the world. We were the first campus in Ireland to be awarded the Green Flag Award for parks and green spaces. And again, a lot of the aspects that went into our application for the Green Flag Award played very much into the things that I showed you there in this presentation. It's great to be able to fly the flag on campus to say that we are one of the over 2,000 accredited parks across the globe that have achieved this standard of exceptional maintenance. And it's not, the Green Flag Award for Parks is not just about the best of the best and the best, most pristine looking places. It's about the management plan and how you go about getting to there. And you could spend lots and lots of money and having not a blade of grass out of place, but that's not the ethos of the Green Flag Award. It's about doing the best practices, putting the best foot forward, and ensuring that your campus or your park or green space is the best it can be and is progressing year on year. So that's about it. So I'll just thank you all for your attention, and I really look forward to seeing you on campus in the near future. I'm looking forward to running more face-to-face walk and talks on the campus when this coronavirus thing blows over in 2021. So thank you for listening.